Om. At the very outset, my salutations to Pujya Swami Chidananda ji and Bibaji, and also my best wishes and my sincere thanks for all the participants on this webinar today. As you know, this is part 2 on the subject Education for Well-Being. We did have part 1 a few weeks earlier. And as I see a lot of participants new to this part 2, I would just take a couple of minutes to give a recap of what we discussed in part 1 so that those who are new in part 2 can have that continuity. In part 1, we discussed basically the difference between being well and well-being. We said well-being is a state of being well, not just at the physical or the emotional plane, but also on the spiritual plane. Somebody has to be feeling good both Adi Bhautika, at the Adi Dhaivika, and at the Adhyatmic level. Then we can say that he is enjoying a state of well-being. And in order to do that, we also discussed that one has to understand, appreciate, and follow all the 4 Purusharthas: the Kama, the Artha, Dharma, and Moksha. And Moksha, we discussed, is not something that happens to us somewhere after our birth. It is a state of bliss that we need to enjoy, we need to experience when we are alive. And for this, we need Shikshana, and Veda has its own prescription for that. We also understood the term samskāra. While doing that, we also looked at the Vedic tenets very briefly and said that according to the Vedas, there are 3 entities, 3 astitvas, which are independent to each other and which are eternal in nature. And that is Jada, Anuchetana, and Vishvachetana. What we technically call as Sat, Satchit, and Satchit Ananda. And we also discussed that the final goal or the objective of the Anuchetana is to reach that state of bliss because it has experienced this at some point in time and it wants to experience it again and again. We also discussed that this Anuchetana, because of its all previous journeys, has come with a pot of imprints or impressions called sanskar. And this is where Veda makes a differentiation to tell that this sanskar which the Anuchetana has brought now can at best be a guiding force. The driving force for it to achieve bliss is Purusha Prayatna. Vedas are very practical and lays a lot of importance on this aspect of Purusha Prayatna. As a part of this Purusha Prayatna, we need sanskar, we need shikshana, and Veda has identified 16 different stages in our life and then has come out with some kind of a ritual through which it is going to give the shikshana that is needed for us at that point in time. Absolutely essential at that point in time. The 16 shodasha samskāras were listed in part 1. They are garbhādāna, Pumsavana, Simantonnayana, Jatakarma, Namakarana, Nishkramana, Annaprashana, Chudakarma, Karnaveda, Upanayana, Vedaramba, Samavartana, Vivaha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, and finally Antyeshti. These are the 16 sanskars. We also discussed in part 1 of the webinar that each of these sanskar aims in giving us shikshana in various ways. It tells us the do's and don'ts. It tells us at a very mundane, at a very physical layer as to what we are expected to understand and what we are expected to perform as our duties and responsibilities. It also gives a spiritual angle to why we should be doing that. There is also a social awareness that these sanskars will create. It's not just addressed to the kartrus or the people to whom it is meant to be, but it is also giving a certain societal, universal message to everybody being present there and society at large. We also realize that these sanskars are not very expensive. They are very, very economical ways of doing it. A simple Agnihotra Homa and a few Vedic mantras to be recited and understood arthanusandhana and anushtana, to practice them. And Veda always believes in celebration. As far as Veda is concerned, life is a celebration. Life is to be a conscious celebration. So each of these samskara talks about a celebration, a reunion, a get-together of people who are close by. After all the samskar is over, have a meal together and a joyful chat with each other, and then the samskar, the whole ritual part of it, comes to an end. This is each samskar the way Veda has prescribed. And then we had time last time to look at garbhādāna. In fact, last time I made a mistake of pronouncing a few times garbhādāna as garbhādāna. I sincerely regret that mistake. It is garbhādāna, garbha plus adana. This garbhādāna sanskar is given after the marriage for the couple, so that there is a well-being created for the couple at the time of the union. And Veda believes that this well-being of the parents at the time of the union gets passed on to the offspring or to the child. And we saw how scientific it is by looking at some empirical data of certain research work that has been done in this area. With this very brief recap on what we did in part 1, let me straight away get into discussing the other samskars. Let's see how many we can cover in the time that is available today. The second one is Pumsavana. This samskar is given once that pregnancy has been confirmed to the woman, typically in the second or the third month. Once woman is said to be pregnant, this samskar is given to the woman and the people in the house. Before we get into understanding what this Pumsavana is all about, let us clarify one of the myths which is there. Pum, in many languages, including Sanskrit, means male. There has been a misconception that Veda prescribes a yajna called Pumsavana, through which it enables the kartrus, the couple, to have a male child, son. This is not true. This is a myth. Why? Because last part itself we saw that Veda is meant for all. And when I said all, I actually put ALL in capitals, inverted commas, underlined it, shadowed it, bold, italics. I did everything to highlight that Veda is meant for all. It is not for he or she. It is not for one particular caste or community. It is a universal appeal. So to restrict Vedic sanskar like a Pumsavana to a ritual that's going to give a male offspring is not, in my opinion, properly doing justice to the Vedic wisdom. So what is Pumsavana? Let's understand Pumsavana from the Vedic perspective itself. Pumsva is a word which is described in Nirukta, one of the Vedangas, as meaning bala or virya, strength. And what is the meaning of savana? We again have to go back to the etymology of savana. The dhatu is shu prasavaishwarya yoho. Shu prasavaishwarya yoho. This is the dhatu, which means to create. It is with relation to pregnancy. To create, to squeeze and give. To squeeze and give. That's what savana means. So Pumsavana is to squeeze and give the strength or bala or virya. We use this word squeeze and giving when we say that we want to give everything. Even in Janapada we use this term. When we say I squeeze every drop of my hard work into this effort, which means that I'm putting 100% of my efforts into this. So Pumsavana from the Vedic perspective actually means giving strength fully. To whom? It is to the mother to be. So Pumsavana basically is a sanskar which gives the physical strength required to the mother to be, so that she can carry forward her pregnancy in a very meaningful, in a very, very healthy way, and can transform this physical energy that she has to the child to be. And how mother actually or the father transforms this into the child, we have already seen in the introduction part. So obviously, most of the mantras, most of the mantras in Pumsavana are catering towards making the woman mother to be strong. So it first focuses on diet. Diet is one thing which can physically give us strength. So it focuses on diet. It's so surprising to see the minutest details that the Vedas can get into. There are mantras in Pumsavana sanskar which tells the mother to be and the people around her as to what she should eat. She should take honey, she should take ghee, she should take milk. Because she goes through her cycle several seasons, she should eat a lot of seasonal fruits. How should she take the food? At what time she should eat? Minutest details like that. How to eat. So basically, during this sanskar, the Veda mantras prescribes a certain diet which is going to strengthen the mother to be. Is diet such an important thing? Is there a special diet for mother to be? Is it something very different from what it was earlier on? Is the question. There is science behind that. A lot of people have done a lot of research in this area. I would like to quote one Andrew Princeton who did years of research on this. And Andrew Princeton, I will just read exactly what is written by Andrew Princeton. Andrew Princeton, professor of international nutrition at London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, after years of research, concurs. Our ultimate goal is to define an optimal diet for mothers to be that would prevent defects in the methylation process. Our research is pointing towards the need for a cocktail of nutrients which could come from the diet or from supplements. The current research says that mothers to be has to be given a very special diet. And if her diet is not taking care of the required nutrients, then it has to come from supplements. But during the Vedic times, there was no supplements coming in the form of capsules and pills. Supplements were the medical shrubs and medicinal value plants, which was directly given by nature. So Vedic mantras gives a diet prescription, which uses the food that she is commonly using, plus the additional food that she requires at that particular point in her time, which is going to make her strong and prevent any ills. So that is the diet part of this sanskar. If somebody felt that Vedic mantras are always talking about the extraterrestrial, things beyond our understanding and comprehension, this is a very good lesson for us to know that Vedas come down to that level of giving us details, raw details, which is required for us to make a better person. Then it talks about the lifestyle that is there for the mother to be. What should be the lifestyle? It talks about what exercises that she should do, what yogasana that she should be performing, what exercises that she should not do, which might affect her pregnancy. It talks about her lifestyle. Is it all? No. In this sanskar, very beautifully, it then talks about the medical tips. It gives certain medical tips to the mother to be. There are mantras which very clearly instructs the mother to be careful about constipation. It says never get into the constipation, because when you have constipation and you put pressure for your bowel movements, it has a certain adverse effect on your body at that particular point in time, and it's absolutely medicine. Today, if you Google this subject and see, you will see a lot of research papers which says that 72% of mothers to be as of today are suffering from constipation and having ill effects on their pregnancy. This is what we have concluded in the last couple of years, but Vedas thousands and thousands and thousands of years back have very clearly articulated this and given the medical tips which is required to ensure the well-being of the mother to be at this particular point in time. This is the beauty of Vedas. So from just by instruction manual, is it just giving us instruction manuals, guys do this, guys don't do this, is it all? No, Veda doesn't stop there. After the initial shikshana of this flavor, Veda next gets into the next level. In Pumsavana, there are a lot of mantras which are so beautiful. One of the mantras, I will share it with you, which is basically told to the wife by the husband. The mantra is like this. The mantra in this sanskar is taken from Ashvalayana Grahya Sutra. I will give you the address 1.13.7. Ashvalayana Grahya Sutra 1.13.7. The mantra is this. Om yatte susime hrudaye hitavantah prajapatau manyeham mam tadvidvamsam maham pautramagam niyam. This is the mantra. The husband is telling this mantra to the wife. He's telling, oh my dear wife, I fully understand the physical changes that is happening in you. Susime hrudaye hitavantaha. And because of that, you are becoming very, very sensitive. You are becoming a little vulnerable than what you were a few months back. And he's telling, Manyeham mam tadvidvamsam. I understand that. I appreciate that. I recognize that. I know what is happening in you. I will ensure that I will be a lot more careful in the days to come and take full care of you. This is what the husband is telling the wife through this mantra. Such a meaningful mantra. Unfortunately, when we do Pumsavana, the Purohit comes and recites those mantras. He doesn't explain the meaning of that, nor we are interested to understand the meaning of that. We also recite the mantras and the whole Pumsavana samskara is over. But if somebody explains these meanings to us, and the husband, when he's giving this mantra in front of so many people, it's not in privacy. And when you commit something in front of people, it's difficult. It's difficult for a well-meaning person to go against that, right? That's human nature. If he can do that with a lot of feeling attached to that, arthanusandana, and then practices that, this samskara will definitely help the husband to take care of the wife's well-being, and that wife's well-being will translate into the child's well-being. This is the beauty of that. The question is very simple. If this samskar was not there, are you telling us that the husbands will not take care of their wives in this way? As I always keep telling, whether the sanskar is there or not, based on their own sanskar and learning, based on their own understanding, on their own experience, they do take care of their wives. I'm not commenting on that. But this sanskar, I call this sanskar and these mantras as a gentle reminder. They are a gentle reminder for us to remember that once again and prioritize it at that point in time. I would like to recite a 4-liner poem that I have written in Kannada, which I think is very appropriate to convey the meaning that I'm trying to convey with regards to the importance of this sanskars. The poem is, Guru ಹೇಳುವ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ತಿಳಿಯದೆ ಮಗೆಂದಲ್ಲ, ಮರೆತು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರಬಹುದು ನಿತ್ಯ ಕೆಲಸದಲ್ಲಿ, ಅರೆದು ಕುಡಿಯುವ ಬದಲು ಗುಳಿಗೆ ನುಂಗಿದ ತೆರದಿ, ಗುರುವಾಣಿಯ ಮಗೆಂದು ನವ್ಯ ಜೀವಿ. Meaning of this is very simple. Guruvani or the Vedavani. Like for example, let's take Guru. Guru tells us so many things. Right? It's not that we don't know. He's not telling something new to us. He's telling what exactly we know. Sometimes through our experiences. Sometimes if the experience has not contributed that learning to us, then using our own common sense at that point in time, using our common sense, using our faculties, and then arriving at a solution which is appropriate to that one, appropriate to the one on hand. So Guru is not telling us anything new. But why is Guru keeping on telling that? Why Guru keeps on telling that to us? Maretu bittirabahudu nitya kelasadalli. It's not that we don't know, but we might have forgotten that in the run of our daily life, in the toil and moil that we have to have our ends meet, in this unending chase that we have about life's targets and aspirations, we might have forgotten that. And Guru is trying to tell us again and again and again, and giving it as a gentle reminder to us. And if we can understand that, we won't get irritated when Guru or anybody, including Veda, comes and tells us or comes and preaches us things. Aredu kudiyuva badalu gulige nungida nayadi. These Veda mantras, these sanskars, are in the form of capsules. One is for us to prepare the medicine and then take. Other one is it comes in the form of a capsule, we take the capsule. It is like that. All these sanskar and these mantras comes to us in the form of capsules. We don't have to spend half of our life trying to experience that and learn from that. Somebody has already invented the wheel. We don't have to reinvent it. We just has to be wise enough to take the best things out of it, use it in our life and put it into practice. Similar to Guruvani of this poem is the Veda mantras that we encounter in each of the sanskars. After this, the next sanskar that we will look at is Simantonnayana. That is the third sanskar. This is done around 4th or 6th or 8th month of the pregnancy. Let's see why it is done during that period of time. First of all, let us understand what Simantonnayana means. It's two words, Simanta plus Unnayana. Simanta means, I don't know the Sanskrit word, but in Kannada we call it as baitale. So when you comb your hair, you part the hair, right? The ladies part it right at the center. We part it either to the left or the right. Where we part it is not important. We do part the hair, and that parting line is called baitale or simanta. And simanta actually means or symbolizes the nervous system or the brain. Simanta means brain. Unnayana means pragati or progress. Or we can very conveniently use the word well-meaning, because well-being we have already defined is to be that state of bliss. So Unnayana is that. So Simantonnayana is that sanskar that gives, expecting to provide Unnayana, the progress or the well-being of the brain. Of whom? Of mother to be once again. If Pumsavana was there to provide the physical strength required for the mother to be, Simantonnayana is done in order to give the mental strength, emotional strength for the mother to be. And any emotional strength or the physical strength that is given, or emotional strength or the physical strength that is given to the mother to be, gets passed on to the offsprings. This is, I keep on repeating this because that is one of the aspects behind doing all these sanskars. There is medical science behind why it is being done at 4th, 6th, and 8th month, as I said. The medical science very clearly says that the brain of the child starts developing around 4th, 5th, 6th week and continues till the 9th month. But it says, medical science agrees, that around the month of 4, around 4th month, the brain is more or less completely developed. And around the 6th month, the brain starts functioning, of course, with a lot of support from the mother. But around the 8th and 9th month, the brain of the child starts independently functioning. It starts responding to certain stimuli without the help of the mother. Veda has very clearly articulated these 3 stages and says, if you do Simantonnayana during these months, you are not only helping the mother to become emotionally strong, but you are also communicating that positivity to the child. This whole sanskar, the Simantonnayana, is about creating a certain positivity. How do you create positivity? We in corporate world, we know that the best way to create positivity is to keep on repeating that every now and then, or make positivity to be seen by your employees everywhere. This is what the corporates do. If you know, most of the companies will put their quality statements all over the company, right? And every workstation, at every place where the people are sitting and working, for them to be seeing and reading the quality statement every now and then. Why? Because it believes that that kind of a reputation will make them realize that quality is something that I need to strive for. Some companies, of course, take it to the extreme. I remember in Tanzania, in Africa, I saw a telecom company where they have put quality statements, vision, mission statements, even in their toilets. That is taking it to the extreme. But then the idea behind this is to ensure that everybody is able to connect with it at all times, so that when the time for action comes to imbibe quality in their work, they are ready for it. This is something like this. In this samskara, they use the same technique. I'll be wrong to say that. The corporates use the same technique, picking up from this samskara in the Vedas. There is a very beautiful mantra which shows how positivity is created in the environment, in the ecosystem at that point in time. It is taken from Mantra Brahmana 1.5.5, Mantra Brahmana 1.5.5. The mantra is Pashyasi prajam pashun saubhagyam mahyam dirghayushtvam patyah. Dirghayushtvam patyuh. Imagine this scene. The yajna is just about to start. The husband has poured a lot of ghee into the pot and he's showing the pot of ghee to the wife and telling, my dear wife, what do you see in this? You know what the wife is supposed to say? She is asked by the Purohit to repeat this mantra. And if the Purohit explains the meaning of this mantra and she catches on to it, it will definitely help her being more and more positive by the day. When the husband shows the pot of ghee, the wife says, Pashyasi prajam. I see my offspring there, not just ja, praja. I see uttamottama santana there. Saubhagyam. Pashun saubhagyam. I just don't see in that pot of ghee my offspring, but I see my offspring progressing beyond bounds, leaps and bounds. I see a very, very successful offspring there. And the beauty comes in the next one. Mahyam dirgha ishtum patyuh. She's telling then to her husband, I also see long life for both of us. Meaning that, in that pot of ghee that you are showing, I am actually seeing my child progressing very well, and both of us having long life so that we will be sitting back and enjoying watching our child progress. Such a beautiful, positive, reaffirming statement this is. Veda gives it at this point in time. What if the wife, tells when the husband shows the pot, yeah, what is this nonsense? Why are you asking me this stupid question? Showing pot of ghee and asking me what it is. It is ghee and nothing else. There is no positivity in that. There is no Kavi Samaya in that. Right? Positivity comes when you see positive things just around you, even on a falling bird. If you realize that it's going to fly before it hits the ground, that is positivity, whether it happens or not. Because the positivity doesn't think of the consequences. Positivity only thinks of the process. So this kind of positivity is given in this sanskar. Science actually calls it as autosuggestion. Right? This is nothing but autosuggestion. When I talk about autosuggestion, I have to share a story with you which I read long back. A very beautiful, very nice story. It appealed to me. I hope you like it. There was this guy who was a big cheat in London. He cheated a lot of people. He cheated a lot of banks and ran away from London. Police couldn't nab him, and then he went and surfaced in Paris, in France. The police finally, took the trail and went and nabbed him in Paris and put him into very serious interrogation. And that person never accepted to any of the crimes that he performed. And he had no evidence also. Cash was not there. God knows where he had kept it. He was clean, looking clean, but all the trail and the other circumstantial evidences was pointing towards him. And they didn't know how to take him to the court, and they couldn't get a confession from him. So they finally, anyway, to try him out, they brought him from Paris to London. And they get down in the London airport and put him into the police car and take him to the nearby police station. On either side of the road, that 10-mile drive, on either side of the road on the walls, there is a particular statement which is written. Like in India, even today, we post cinema picture posters and things like on compound wall, especially if the compound is not ours, we post it very liberally, right? Probably in those days, even in London, they used to do that. So they had a warning message telling that bill posters will be prosecuted. Means anybody who posts bills on this wall will be prosecuted. All that through the 10-mile on either side, every compound wall had this very largely printed statement: bill posters will be prosecuted, bill posters will be prosecuted, and so on and so on. Then this guy comes to the police station, and even before the interrogation starts, he falls onto his knees and confesses every crime that he did. People are flabbergasted. They're surprised as to how this could happen. My dear friends, his name was Bill Postus. His name was Bill Postus. All through that 10-mile drive, he was reading Bill Postus will be prosecuted, Bill Postus will be prosecuted. It became such a strong auto-suggestion for him that he finally fell on his knees and confessed. That is the power of auto-suggestion, and that's what Veda is doing in this. Every single thing, if you say, I see my son here, I see my daughter here, I see their progress here, I see good things happening, good things will happen. Positive, it will happen. Even if it doesn't happen, whatever happens looks good to you. That is the beauty of positivity. 3 instances which we can recall is one of Napoleon, right? Napoleon Bonaparte, the French king. His mother, during the pregnancy of Napoleon, was always keen and watching all the military drills that was happening. And they say that Napoleon was a born soldier. He carried that when he was born, and even before he was 40, he had almost conquered the world, became one of the greatest kings, legends, right? Even in our backyard, we have a very nice story of Subhadra. Subhadra, when she was carrying Abhimanyu, she was very interested in understanding the very, very intricate formations of the army, intricate formations that are done during the wartime. And that passed on to Abhimanyu, and without any formal training, Abhimanyu in his teens could go and then get into the Chakravyuh. It is said, it's a Purana, it's a story, but the essence of that is that whatever mother is thinking gets translated into the child. If the well-being of the mother is there, the child will also come out having that well-being reflected in its persona. This is what it is. And the other beautiful story, the third one, my favorite, is Kayadu and Hiranyakashipu, right? Kayadu has Prahlada in her, and she's staying in an ashram, and next to her is Narada Maharshi, right? Narada Maharshi is like tagged 24/7 for Sriman Narayana. Technical assistant cells or these call centers which works 24/7. Like Narada is like 24/7, Sriman Narayana tag. So he is there. He is not only doing Narayana's Nama Japa constantly, but he is singing the glory of Narayana 24/7. And this has such a profound impact on Prahlada that when Prahlada was born, he was born a Narayana Bhakta, Vishnu Bhakta, in spite of the fact that his father had very different views about Vishnu. So all of this will very clearly say that this sanskar has to be done. And in a way, if it is done with Arthanusandhana and Anusthana, has a very tremendous effect at that point in time for the mother to be mentally, to be emotionally very, very positive. Now let's look at the next sanskar, which is Jatakarma. Up till now, the 3, Garbhādāna, Pumsavana, and Simantonnayana, they're all done before the birth of the child. From now on, the sanskars that we will look at are done after the birth of the child. Jatakarma is a very beautiful sanskar once again, which is done just before the birth of a child. Jatakarma, the mantras actually together can translate into a medical technical manual for safe child delivery. I'm not exaggerating it. It's exactly that. It's exactly that. In those days, there were no doctors, there were no hospitals. The delivery used to happen in the house itself. They used to earmark one of the rooms as the Prasuti Graha and then do the delivery of the child there itself. So all these sanskars, which is given not just to the mother to be, but all the people around, people who are actually involved in delivery of the child, the mantras are telling them the exact do's and don'ts. For the first of all, how logically it builds up. The first few mantras talk about the right time for delivery, so that the others can be ready for that. It tells the mothers to be that you will be delivering a child when you start feeling within you a very subtle vibration that is very, very similar to the vibration caused by the waves of the ocean or the vibrations caused by the gush of the wind. When you start feeling that kind of an experience, you're going to deliver the child. You will have to alert the people to be ready to take care of that. Mantras tell about that. Then the mantras talk about how one should disinfect the prasuti graha. Disinfection of the prasuti graha. It talks about how the instruments that are used for delivering has to be sterilized, how it has to be kept in boiling water, sterilized. Doesn't it look something very similar to what we see in the hospitals today? Then it talks about how to deliver the child. It says first the water comes out, then the child, and then jarayu. Jarayu is the Vedic word for placenta. It says that placenta has to come out. Ensure that every bit of the placenta is taken out of the body of the mother. To that extent, Veda mantras talk about it. Then it says how the umbilical cord will have to be cut, at what distance it has to be cut, how it should be knotted. All of these are given through Veda mantras, and these Veda mantras are given to us in Jatakarma. One very important thing that it also talks about is the importance of colostrum. Colostrum is the first feed that comes out of a mammal, in this case the mother to be. As soon as the child is delivered, a very pale yellow milk comes out of the mother's mammary glands. And this, the Veda says, is rich in antibodies which can take care of any of the diseases and provide the immunity to the child. So child has to have this. Veda insists. Why I am telling this is because even as recently, a lot of tribes, a lot of people were thinking that this milk is not safe for the child. They were discarding that. There are a lot of people who used to discard this until medical science, the modern medical science has done a lot of research and come back and substantiated what the Vedas thousands and thousands and millions of years ago already told. And why is this milk also important for the child? As per medical science, as per Vedas, it will help in the meconium. The first time the child will give the stool out, will passes the stool out, this milk will help that to happen so that the child gets cleansed within. After that, the mantras also go on to tell how the prasuti graha itself will have to be cleaned, how the child will have to be cleaned, and so on and so forth. So this is a kind of a medical technical manual. It is not that the people who are involved in that don't know about it, but if you do the samskar just before that, it comes as a gentle reminder, a re-emphasis for what they know so that they can do the same thing in a much better way, flawlessly. Now comes the part of energizing the newly born child. The modern medicine, we do that. If the child after the birth doesn't cry, then we turn the child upside down and give a nice slap on its buttocks so that the child will start crying, energizing because the lungs and all the other organs of the child will be in a very crouched position. And for the first time it has come out into the open, they will have to expand, they will have to start functioning well. This is done in a slightly different way in this sanskar by the Vedic ways. It has a mantra. It says, Om prate dadami madhuno ghrithasya. Om prate dadami madhuno ghrithasya. This is from Ashwalayana Sutra 1.15.1. Saying that you energize the child by putting a very small drop of honey on its tongue. Tongue, among all the senses, is the one which gets energized very fast. Simple thing is, you don't have to put pickles on your tongue. Even if it's kept there and you look at it, you start salivating. That's the effect of tongue. So put a small portion of honey onto the tongue. Why honey? Because Veda prescribes that honey is the most purest form of food available from nature. And I was very surprised. I need to tell this. I have a lot of customers that I used to visit in Malaysia. They were all Muslims. One of the times I went there, one of the Muslim friend of mine asked me to get him a bottle of honey. Not that they don't get honey there, Number one, they don't get as good quality in abundance as we do here. Number two, it's very expensive there. So he asked me, Satyesh, can you get me a bottle of honey? I said, fine. I took him a bottle of honey. And then in our discussions, he said, even in Quran, it is said that honey is something that is the purest form of food, and any Muslim can have it without any exceptions or restrictions. Same with the dates also. So honey, not only in any of the isms, but even at the time of the Vedas, it was very clearly said that that is a food that if that food can be given to a small, just newly born child, I'm sure it can be taken by all of us. We should take honey as much as possible. Then there is no clapping of hands next to the ear of the child in order to energize the child's senses, right? Veda does it in a very beautiful way. It allows the parents, the father and the mother, and all the elders or the seniors who are around sitting there, go near the child ear and then murmur. What? Vedosi, 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 Vedosi. Just this word. You murmur that word in the ears of the child. What does Vedosi means? Vedosi means you're telling the child, hey child, you are the epitome of knowledge. You are the king of knowledge. You are the queen of knowledge. It doesn't use the name of gods and goddesses. There is nothing wrong in using those names of the gods and goddesses. But when you use that, it becomes kind of a connotation that it becomes a religious connotation. But Veda is not religious. Veda is spiritual. That's why it is telling the child, the very first words that the child is hearing is an instruction or a very clearly telling the child that you have come to this earth with an intent to becoming a gnani, intent to acquire knowledge, and you should do that. In order to do that, it's reinstating the belief in the child at that stage that Vedosi, Vedosi, you are the epitome of knowledge. After this, there will be a lot of mantras that the parents will recite to their child, telling that we understand our responsibilities to make you a supraja and we will abide by that. With that ends the sanskar. And then we come to the next one, Namakarana. But I think I have already come to 45 minutes. I would probably do Namakarana and the rest of the sanskars in the next webinar, which is scheduled for 10th of February. Or Vibhaji?
Hari Om.
Hello. Hari Om. Hari Om. Vibhaji, do I have another 5-10 minutes to finish Namakarana and then move on?
I think it's fine. If there may be, if there's question, then you can answer later on, or it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I will just take another 5-10 minutes to finish Namakarana, and we'll still have a few minutes for Q&A. Please bear with me because I was just thinking that I would finish all the samskars in 3 webinars. It looks like I would need a 4th one, and so it probably is a good idea to finish this so that I can spread the rest of them into 2 webinars and do justice, at least to my satisfaction. Namakarana, the naming in ceremony. The question is, why should we have a samskara for naming, right? This is a very obvious question. Naming, you just name and forget about it. Why should there be a prescribed sanskar? There is a reason for that. People, civilizations, different isms, different groups of people over a period of time have named their children in very different ways, right? We have seen people naming their children, giving the names of their forefathers and ancestors, because whenever they call the names of the children, they will relive the beautiful days that they've had with their ancestors. This is a very beautiful practice which is there in so many civilizations and tribes. There is, especially in Hindus, we give the names of gods and goddesses, right? Vishnu, Ishvara, Lakshmi, Parvati, and all becomes beautiful names for our children. Some of them keep names of famous personalities as the names of their children. I've read recently that a lot of people, Indians, Hindus, have kept the names of their children as Kalam, in memory of this great personality that we had, Abdul Kalam ji, right? Sunil Gavaskar named his son as Rohan because Rohan Kanhai, the West Indian batsman, was an idol for Sunil Gavaskar. There are also very abstract names that some people keep. Very, very abstract. I had a friend from Germany whose name was Kleine Kathofer. Kleine Kathofer in German, I believe, means small form. So what is it to do with his name? What is small form got to do with this man who was actually oversized, big guy, right? I asked him, what does it mean? He didn't have an answer. Probably he was born in a small form, or he comes from a village with so many different village which only had small forms. You can put the meaning to it based on the imagination that you have. There are also some very, very weird names people will keep. There is a very beautiful joke which I read recently. This man, I believe, is taking for a walk his dog, and he's accompanied by his son also, and he meets an old friend, and the friend talks to him, and after all the pleasantries, looks at the dog and says, "Wow, very nice dog, man, you have. What is its name?" So this fellow says, "Vivekananda. My dog's name is Vivekananda." He said, "Wow." He was surprised, but he said, "Very nice, very nice. I have not seen people keeping names for the dogs like this. Vivekananda, very good, very good. You have very high ideals. You always were a person I knew who would think out of the box." Then after that, he says, "Oh, this is your son. What is your name, boy?" And the son says, "My name is Tommy." This is like weird names. Dog's name is Vivekananda and the son's name is Tommy. Such things can also happen, and it has happened, and we see it all around the place. But the Vedas, why it considers naming as a sanskar is because of this. Naming has three aspects to it. One is called vyavartana, means to differentiate, right? But if I just say that I was sitting with him and he came over here, you won't understand anything. But if I say I was sitting with Rama and Krishna came there, you know who I was sitting with and who. So to differentiate between people, you need a name. The next aspect of naming is nirdeshana, means to address. If there are a group of people, if you cannot simply say, "Hey, come here." Everybody will come, right? One after the other. But if you say, "Hey, Rama, please come here," Rama will come, the rest of won't. So in order to address a particular person in a group, you need a name. This is vyavaharik, transactional in nature, right? Veda brings the third element to it. That is called adarshana, setting up a high ideal. The name has to be kept in such a way that it becomes an auto-suggestion, not just for the child, but also the parents or anybody else who is calling him by that name. So Veda says a quality of the person has to be translated into a name so that you are motivating that child every now and then to acquire that quality in its lifetime. This is Adarshana. Vedas don't give too much of importance to the personalities. Vedas gives importance to the way that personality has lived. What is the difference that that personality has brought to the society? That is where Veda excels from all the other texts. I just did Google to find out what's the most popular and the populous name today. I believe Muhammad is the most popular and the populous name. 150 million people have the same name. Among the girls, it's Mary. Both are very beautiful names. But look at the names that Veda prescribes. Veda doesn't believe in keeping the names of the personalities, but their qualities. Some of the very beautiful Vedic names are Shubhashini, Vishwapriya, Pranava, Sumedha, Subhashini. I want my child to speak very pleasantly so that it will end up having no enemies at all. Instead of telling my child to be so and so, which is very good, but it's not specific. It is general. But when you say, "I want my child," I name my child as Subhashini, and whenever I call that name, I tell that child that this is what you will have to be. Chances are that it will end up to be a Subhashini. And the only way it will become Subhashini is if you also create an ecosystem in your house to support that. You cannot have a cursing and then fighting all along and expect your child to become Subhashini just because you are. So the responsibility on the child to become what it is, what the name suggests, and for the parents and the rest of the society to ensure that the child becomes that, is both conveyed by keeping a name like this. Vishwapriya, a universal appeal. Pranava, always new. Pranava, always new, always novel, always innovating. Like the companies today say, if we have to succeed in the market today, we have to be innovative every second. Pranava is that Sumedha, epitome of knowledge. So these are the names that is prescribed in the Vedas. And there is a very beautiful mantra here. I would like to tell this mantra and share this with you, and then end today's webinar. The mantra used in Namakarana, this mantra is from Yajurveda 7.29. The address is 7.29. The mantra is Kosi katamosi kasyasi ko namasi yasyate nama manmahiyam tva somenatitrupama bhurbhuvassuha suprajaha prajabihisya sumiro viraihi saposho poshaihi. What is the meaning of this mantra? The parents have the child on their lap and they are bewildered. They are asking the child, Kosi, Katamosi, from where did you come? Who are you? Konamasi, what is your name? We don't know that. We don't know that. But we believe that you are a gift to us from the Bhagavan, from the Vishwa Chetana. That is something that we understand. Whoever they are addressing the Anu Chetana, we don't know your name, from where you came, what is your background, everything. But we know that the very fact that you have come and been on our laps today is because of the niyama that Vishwa Chetana has set. And then it says, we know we are not really worried about your background, but we know that you belong to us. And both of us will strive hard to ensure that you become a suprajaha prajavi. We will ensure that you will become a very unnata person with a lot of samskars, so that through your life, you will be able to change the society for a better place. And then the rest of the people in the audience will also bless the child, and the Namakarana ceremony comes to an end. The next webinar we will see the rest of them from Nishkramana onwards. With this, I think I will conclude. I've taken about 5 minutes extra time. Please bear with me, excuse me on that. And I once again thank all the participants for your patience and support. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
We'll wait for question, if any, for 5 minutes. Yes, there is a question from Meenakshi SM. I'll unmute her. I don't know. Oh, attendee is self-muted. It says. From your side, can you unmute it? Meenakshi SM. Satyajji?
Yeah, I will try. I'm Meenakshi SM.
It says self. Oh, yes. Yes, Meenakshi ji, ask the question.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Satyesh, sir.
Very good evening to you, ma'am. Thank you.
It was pleasant to watch you having this in the show. I just had a question about, in Hindus, we have a custom of piercing the ears, right?
Yes.
Yes. I would like to know whether that also is one of the sanskars that the Veda is there some mention about it in Vedas, and are you going to cover it up in any of the webinars in future, or have you already done it? Just want to know what's the important.
Yeah, it is called Karna Veda, samskara, wherein the ear is pierced. And there is a lot of medical reasons, acupuncture reasons why it is done. And also there is a spiritual reason as to why Vedas considers this sanskara as a very important thing. Hopefully, I should be able to take it up. It is within the 16 samskaras that I have taken. As I said in the part 1, the samskaras are plenty. There are about 40 sanskars totally, Different people have classified it in different ways, but Veda has kind of simplified, filtered it out, grouped them together and brought it into 16 sanskars. And Karna Veda is one of the most important sanskars. Hopefully in the webinar 3 or webinar 4, I will be taking it up.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Just wanted to ask that.
Yeah. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks.
Okay, sir. Good day. We'll meet in the next webinar.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks, ma'am. I look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now there is one more, Sriram.
There is one more, Sriram Shetty. Yeah, I am unmuting them.
You unmuted, yes.
Hi, Satesh.
Hi, Sriram.
Hey, just a quick question. What is the significance of Drishti Bottu? They put it on the kids.
Okay. So now you are asking a question of Drishti Bottu on the child and what is the significance?
Yes.
To the best of my knowledge, there is no such thing prescribed by the Vedas.
Okay.
These are all different sanskars, or I would say different practices which the people have developed over a period of time post-Vedic.
Okay.
This is more from our heritage perspective, that the child is so very beautiful that there should not be an evil eye being casted on the child. So in order to ward off the evil from the child, they put a Drishti Bottu. Now, how that Drishti Bottu is going to ward off evil? Can somebody cast an evil eye on somebody else? Are they God? Are they Paramatma to do all of that? These are all the questions which Veda simply pushes aside and doesn't answer. But I do respect the heritage and the customs part of it, where with a lot of belief they do this. It gives a certain comfort feel for the parents to take the child outside, thinking that this is going to protect the child from all of that. I think we got to respect it as an individual understanding of life and then be with it. But if your question is whether what is the meaning of it in Vedas doesn't have any of this. In fact, even kumkum and keeping tilak and all is not Vedic at all. Veda doesn't believe in symbols.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shriram.
There are 2 text questions. Can you click on that question mark on the first, Mr. A.R. Ghanti?
Yeah, I am doing it, yes. Yeah, so Shri Ghanti is asking, when was part 1 shared with this group? Is it available on YouTube? Yes, sir, it is. Do I have to type it or I can? I think I can answer it, right? Yeah, the part 1 is available on Fawai YouTube site. I think the part 1 was webinar number 138. This is 141. So you should be able to get that there. Question 2 is, can you share any published books covering the 16 life's milestone events? Thanks. Yes, there are books, but it is in Kannada. I'm not telling the books are not there in English. Obviously, it will be there, but I somehow understand this subject, though I discourse in English. For me to understand this subject, it's much better if it's in my mother tongue. So I have referred to books in Kannada. But I will check out and definitely let you know the books that are available in English if that's what you are looking for. I would appreciate if you could just share with me your contact details and I will definitely send you the list. There is another question. Has Veda suggested any way we can name the child based on anything? Is the question from Rukmini Chintamani. That's what I said just now when we said Namakarana. The Vedas say that the name has to be basically conveying a very specific attribute of a personality that you want the child to imbibe. As simple as that. It could be the name of the person itself. For example, when we say Vivekananda, the name we expect the child to be Vivekananda, but expecting a child to be Vivekananda is expecting too much. But when we say Vishwapriya, we are dissecting that whole personality into different attributes and qualities and telling at least this you try to imbibe in your life. So naming is left to the imagination of the parents, but if it is done in order to bring that element of adarshana that the Veda, in whichever way the parents feel good about, I think the naming ceremony itself will serve its purpose.
Yeah. I think there are no more questions.
And there is, okay.
Oh, yes, again, Sri Ramji is asking some question.
So,
yes, Sri Ramji?
Satish, quick question about the twins and triplets. Are there any samskaras related to twins or triplets?
There is no special sanskar for twins and triplets. If God willing, somebody has twins and triplets, they go through the same samskaras as prescribed in the shodasha samskara. There is nothing specific to that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, the same sanskars will hold good.
Thank you, Sateshji. It was really, really very informative and interesting webinar.
Thanks
We
a
look
lot.
forward
Thanks a lot,
to
Vijay.
soon.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Vibhaji, and thanks once again to all the participants. Thank you very much. Good night. Shubharatri.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.